is the Speak Your Peace podcast, a podcast for the people where we believe by speaking your truth, you can help others find their peace. I am your host, Kaleem Slayton, and I want to thank you for listening in. Be sure to find us on Instagram at __ Speak Your Peace. Let's go. Again, we thank you for everybody for joining us on the Speak Your Peace podcast. This is your host, Kaleem Slayton. I am with a special guest today. If you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Ebonee Bryant-Lindsay.
All right, nice to meet you, Ebonee. We appreciate you coming on today. If you've been listening to the Speak Your Peace podcast, we speak about those. We allow people to come on and speak their truth in hopes that others listening can find their peace. We understand that everybody in this world is working to overcome something or has had a battle that has affected and changed their life and made them who they are today, as well as helped them grow into the people they're becoming today. Now, Ebonee, a little bit about your situation. And 2019 was definitely a up and down year for you.
Yes, absolutely.
I guess so. Let's start. With 2019. What would you say? What was the first big thing? What was your first big down in 2019?
The first big down actually started in 2018. Things kind of changed. So my father passed away last year, July of 2018, and he battled for a very short time, he battled with cancer.
So you didn't know he had it?
We didn't know he had it. We didn't find out. He had started getting sick in March of 2018 around his birthday. And we just thought, he's getting older,
About how old was he?
67.
Okay.
So he had just turned 67. He, was just getting older, thought, he needed to maybe finally retire, because my dad was still working.
Okay.
He was still working part-time. He had retired, but he can't stay still. He couldn't stay still. He was never a person that liked to sit still. So he still worked.
Okay, still up and older people up and active.
Up and active. Always hanging out with family and things like that. Very active. So it was definitely a surprise because it was a surprise, but it wasn't a little bit of surprise. My dad, he smoked for a very long time, most of his life, and on Father's Day is when he went into the hospital of 2018, and we found out that he had cancer.
Lung cancer?
Lung cancer. Yep, lung cancer.
Did they say what stage it was?
It was stage 4.
Okay, and they didn't I guess I'm not too familiar with how cancer works, or I'm pretty sure it progresses along, but I guess I would think, and again, I'm not old, but I would guess what I would think that during doctor's visits or something, they would maybe be able to catch it at stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Is it
possibly? My dad, though, was also a man that did not like to go to the doctor.
Okay.
So he was very old school. I got a cold. I just have a hottie totty.
Yeah. Take the edge off.
A little whiskey, and some tea, and I'm good. So he wasn't a man to go to the doctor very often. He did that year though. He did have a small throat surgery. He had a small lump in his throat, but it was benign. Okay. So they didn't think, anything was wrong or anything like that. And then he also had dentures. So he had kind of gone through a couple of different surgeries prior to that. And so we thought, maybe it was just, him recovering from those surgeries, the sickness and just feeling a little bit down and things like that. And so he had gotten really sick to the point where he was just coughing really bad. And my mom was like, you got to go to the doctor. You need to go to the doctor. So she finally got him to go to the hospital. Okay. And because he was having a hard time breathing. So she's like, okay, you got to go to the hospital.
Gotcha.
So took him to the hospital and, they did some tests. And then they found out that, he had stage 4 lung cancer. So it was shocking.
Okay. Yeah. I can imagine. So stage 4, is there any coming back from stage 4? Or is it what's...
For lung cancer, for the type that he had, it was a very low percentage, maybe 5%.
Okay.
So, we knew that it was possible he didn't have long when we found out.
Is that kind of something the doctor maybe talked about or insinuated?
Yeah, like they did let us know that, you know, it was possible for him to come back from it, but, you know, it just depended. It really just depended on how he reacted to the chemotherapy and radiation. And he had just started it, so everything happened so fast. It went from, he got diagnosed, he got diagnosed June 20th. He went to the hospital on Father's Day, June 20th, that Wednesday. We found out that he had cancer, and then 3 weeks later, he was gone. So it was
like that.
It was just like that. It was like we hadn't even, like, we were just getting settled into taking care of him, figuring out how to care for him and make him comfortable. And so it was just like, wait, like, we've just started this journey onto trying to help him recover. And just like that, he was gone.
What were you thinking, like, when you first found out it was like lung cancer? Like, how did you feel?
It was kind of like, I guess confused, really, but at the same time, I was like, well, I know my dad smoked for a long time, and this was a possibility. Like, when I was a teenager, I used to think, like, we used to, like, get on him, like, you gotta stop smoking, because, you know, they always talk about you could possibly get lung cancer and things like that. And so, you know, we were worried about him. So, like, when it happened, it was kind of like, well, he has been smoking of his life. This was always kind of a possibility. You just, of course, you hope. You know, you hear of people who smoke their whole lives and never. And
then you hear people who get cancer who don't smoke.
Exactly. So it was kind of like, well, up in the air. You didn't know, you know. So when it happened, it was like, okay, so this is it. So this is happening. So it was just, we just kind of were in the space of, okay, this is what it is. So let's just do what we need to do to get him better. That was kind of like our attitude.
Okay. And, you know, so that happens 2018, you know, going into 2019. Definitely, you know, a tough way to start the year.
Yeah.
And then your brother. Now, is that close by, or is that a few months later? Or
it was a year and 5 days.
Okay. So you lose your father to lung cancer. Again, someone who lost a brother last year. I know that's not something you get over in a year. And I lost him April 27th, 2019. And again, this has been almost 8 months later, or however the math plays out. But I know you still get your moments where you're not over it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So that year and a year later and 5 days, and then your brother.
Yep.
I guess, I mean, what happened?
It was surreal.
I know the feeling.
Like, it was like, really? Like, it just, a year and 5 days, like, a year to the day, we had a memorial party for my father.
Gotcha.
So all our family got together. We had this big cookout at my aunt's house, and we were having so much fun. All the family came. We all wore, like, the same color shirt. We had pictures of my dad everywhere. And, you know, we just were talking about him and remembering him and just trying to, like, as a family, kind of just, like, deal with the loss, you know, and just trying to, in our own way, just, like, celebrate him. Like, okay, yeah, we're not over this. He still cry. Yes, we're still hurting, but we're family, and we're going to stick through this together, and we're going to celebrate our loved one. So we had an awesome time, and it was, then 5 days later, I get a call from my sister-in-law that she heard that he was on, I guess he was on the phone with, I think, one of my cousins, and he was in a car crash. And so she called me. She's like, I don't know.
Older, younger?
My cousin was younger.
Well, your brother?
Oh, my brother's younger.
Okay.
Yeah. He's 32.
Okay.
And, like, she called me, and she's like, I don't know where he is. I can't find him. I don't know where he is. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, I think he was in a car accident. And I'm like, what? And so this happened, like, I was, like, on my way to work, and I'm like, okay, I'm definitely not going to work. I need details. Yeah. I'm like, I need you to tell me what's going on. So she's like, I don't know where he is. So I'm like, okay, well, who was he with? Was he with anyone? Like, let's find out where he could possibly be. And so she's like, I think he's with our cousin. And so I'm like, okay, so we're making phone calls. We're just trying to find out who he could have been with, where they could have been going. Mm-hmm. And so we end up eventually getting in touch with one of our family members who found out where they were, because my brother was in the car with one of my cousins. Mm-hmm. And he was unconscious at the time of the accident. Like, when the accident happened, he, was hurt, so he was knocked unconscious. And so eventually he woke up, and he was in the ambulance, and he woke up, and then he called.
Your brother?
No. Your cousin? My cousin was able to get in touch with us to let us know what happened. So, but he still didn't know what happened because he was unconscious, so he didn't know, what happened. So all we know is he's just telling us, I'm on my way to the hospital, just come to the hospital. So, all our, family, we rushed to the hospital, and, we're just like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? A couple of hours pass, and we still don't know where he is, and we're like freaking out. We're calling all these other hospitals. We don't know where he is. And there's like this moment where like I knew, mm-hmm. Because it's like, it's been 2 hours. How do we, all the hospitals are saying that they don't have him. So like, we're going bananas trying to find him. And like, there's just this one moment where I'm like, he's not here. He's not here anymore. But I didn't say anything because, of course, I'm just praying to God. Like, God, please let him be okay. Mm-hmm. And so, my family is just, we're in turmoil. Mm-hmm. We're just sitting around waiting for news we don't want to hear. We're just constantly praying, like, God, please let him be okay. And, when the officers came in, I already knew. I'm like, if there's officers here, then they're here for bad news. They're not giving us any good news. And so it was heart-wrenching because it's like, I just lost my dad. Mm-hmm. Like, how can this possibly be happening? And it was really like hurtful too, because I moved here from Philadelphia with my...
So you moved to Charlotte from Philadelphia?
Yeah, I moved to Charlotte from Philadelphia with my family. And so the whole reason I came down here was for my family. Mm-hmm. I didn't have any family any blood family in Philadelphia. My husband's family. But, I miss my mom, I miss my dad, I miss my brother. We've always been very close. Mm-hmm. So, I really miss them and, wanted my boys to, have them around. So, like, the whole reason I moved down here, was for them. And to, like, within... Because I've only been here for like 3 years. So after 2 years of being here, half of the reason I came here is gone. Just like that. And it's just like, it felt like some cruel joke. Like, oh, you came down here for your family, but no. Mm-hmm. So it's just, it has been very hard. Extremely.
I fully get it. I definitely remember... waking up that day, my brother used to send me like memes every morning. Mm-hmm. And I got that meme that morning and I looked at it. I don't think I had replied yet because it was like 5 a.m. when he sent it. And I still remember getting that phone call from my grandfather. He's like, have you spoken to your mother? And I'm just like, well, no, but I heard it in his voice. Something was wrong. Mm-hmm. And he was like, your brother's been shot in the head. And like, just that is like, when you say you were shocked, I get it. Or in, like disbelief, I get it. Because it's just like, this can't be real. Right. And then everything after that, I just don't... I'm just looking at the man above, like, look, just let him be okay. Right. I'll do anything. Mm-hmm. Like, what you need?
Right.
Like,
bartering with God, like, God, please.
Yeah, please. Yes. Please. And I just happened to be at a church picking up, at a food pantry at a church. And I just had to get out the car and I just had to walk. And, I went to the church doors and they happened to be locked. But I was just looking for anything because I just need him to be okay. But a part of me knew, when he said he got shot in the head, a part of me knew, instantly that, he not here. Mm-hmm. But again, definitely disbelief, definitely, shock. And I do want to ask you this, so with your father, it was kind of like you knew he smoked. Mm-hmm. It was some type of, this could happen.
Right.
Is like, I guess when you have kids and they run in the street or selling drugs, whatever the case is, you know the potential consequences of it. So it's not that you're prepared, but you know there's the consequences that come with it. Same thing with smoking. But with your brother, there was no preparation.
Yeah, none at all.
And I think maybe you can touch on this a little bit. Does the fact that there was I think as people we have expectations. You have pictures and ideas in your head of how your life will go and how you'll live and who will be there and how your kids will have this uncle. And then it's like, no, it's gone.
Yeah.
Like, was it harder because it was unexpected?
Absolutely. It absolutely was. My dad, knowing, again, since I was a teenager and understanding, biology, understanding health and things like that, it was always a possibility. So when it happened, it was definitely still a shock because it was like, well, my dad never even really got sick. So for him to go from never really even getting sick to lung cancer, it was still a shock, but it was also, I had that understanding. I understood why. I knew why. With my brother, there's no why. There's no why. There's it was an accident, but why? No, there weren't really any witnesses. It just happened, so there's always going to be that question. Why, God? Why did that have to happen? Why did that have to happen to him?
Did you feel like you questioned God at that time?
Oh, absolutely.
Because I know I did.
Absolutely. With even with my father. When my father passed away, I stopped going to church. I was mad. I was extremely mad. Even though I knew the why, I still was mad.
I get it.
And it was just and even though I know that other people go through these things and people have, lost their own loved ones, it's still just you're just mad. And even with my brother, same thing. I was just mad. I'm
a fan of when it comes to pain, I think pain is different than most feelings. When you're happy, you're happy. You know that, but and you can tell me, how you feel about this with pain, of losing a loved one or a lost one unexpectedly. It's different because as much as I was sad, I was mad. But then I was mad, but then he was killed, so I wanted revenge. But then I felt indifferent, and I felt like I didn't care for anything. And it was it was all these feelings, and I didn't know which one I was going to feel at that moment. I was sad, and then I was mad at God. And then I was like, no, I understand God. But I was all over the place. It's it was, happy is happy, and when you're happy, you just happy. But with pain, you can have pain, but you can also be sad. You can have pain, but you can also be disappointed. You can have pain, but you can also be indifferent and just don't care about nothing. You can have pain, and then you can be mad. So pain never comes by itself.
Absolutely.
And you don't know that other feeling that it's going to come with until you're with it. Because it's just why God? I'm mad. I'm sad.
You're disappointed.
Yeah. You really all over it. It changes you.
Absolutely.
It changes you.
It definitely does. It definitely changes you. I know when my dad passed, and it was really hard too because during that time, with me being the oldest, and me being a natural, I care for people. I always want to help people. I always want to be there for other people. So with helping my mom, plan the funeral and everything, I just went into care mode.
Right.
So it was I was angry and I was mad and having all these feelings, but at the same time it was okay, now we have to make these adjustments and we have to make these plans and we have to plan a funeral and we have to do paperwork and we have to go do all these things, and doing all of that while you're in this cloud of just anger and pain, and being who I am as a person, knowing that my mom is really going through it, I just was all right, I have to take the reins. I have to do everything.
And do you feel like that brought back up past feelings, or past emotions? Because I felt I noticed that sometimes certain songs or certain things would bring back up those feelings.
Yeah.
It's it never went away. It was just right here at any point in time. At any point, and any little thing could bring those emotions back to the forefront.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I know my mom, when she was doing the paperwork, she was, and cleaning out his apartment, all that stuff came rushing back.
But yeah, absolutely. With my father, planning his funeral, I pretty much did everything. Like, I put the slideshow together, so I had to go through all these pictures, and it's like, great to look at the pictures, but it's hurtful because it's like, it's just constantly like, he's not here. I'm doing this right now because he's not here. I had to put the music together, and it was nice that I was able to have that control. It helped me a little bit, even at the same time, even though it was frustrating. It did help me kind of like deal with his passing, being able to okay, I have something to do. I need something to distract me.
Who are you telling?
I need something to distract me right now because I don't even know how to feel.
And doing the slideshow and things like that distracted you.
Yeah,
they do say that that same day it happened, I had called off from work. But the last thing I really wanted to do was be at home just thinking, because I'm out of, I couldn't go up to Philadelphia or Baltimore. So I didn't want to be at home thinking about it. And I knew that at least if I went to the restaurant, I could just make the orders and just not
think about it.
Yeah, just not think about it, because I just couldn't be at home. I just didn't want to, be by myself and think about it. And
right.
Yeah, I needed something to do. And again, that's how I ended up writing my book, From Potential to Purpose, because I've never been a writer. I can do math, I can do science all day, but with this book, it will help be an outlet for me. And I'm not even a person who writes.
Yeah,
Yeah. And I know you wrote a book. What's the name of it again?
It is an anthology of 12 authors, including myself, and it is Kingdom Builders in Business.
Okay.
And it is an anthology about 12 people who have gone through struggles, have gone through triumphs, and are telling their story while all the things that they have to do within life, and also trying to build a business, all in that. So everyone's just everyone has their story. Everyone has, everyone's trying to do what they want to do in life. They're trying to, reach their goals and their dreams. And at the same time, you have to navigate, everyday life while you're doing that.
while your world is upside down.
Right. While
you used to have deadlines and demands and people who are dependent on you. And
exactly. And so, it's just a book about people, working through their pain and trying to figure out their purpose. And my chapter is called Pain to Purpose. I definitely focused on my chapter is basically about a little synopsis of my life and just what I went through with losing my father and my brother, and how it has brought me here to where I am, today. Even though it's only been a year, more than a year with my dad, it has changed me a lot. But it has also pushed me to realize life is short.
That I will say that it does.
Life, you never know. No one knows the day or the time or the place, and so it has made me realize okay, you were put here for a reason. If you don't get up and do something about it, if you don't get up and figure it out. And I have always loved to write. I've always loved to write. I wrote short stories and poems and everything when I was a teenager. I did a little blog writing a few years back before I had my last child. And but life kind of happened, and then also just not thinking that I was enough, not thinking that I could pull it off, or just normal insecurities, thinking well, nobody's gonna read this blog, I'm not even getting any likes. Is anybody even paying attention? Is anybody even reading this? Does it even matter? And I had to realize that I don't have to do it for everyone else. I have to do it for me.
Yeah.
Because it's my dream.
And that's what I felt, in my book I talk about, living in your purpose. And I write that, living in your purpose doesn't mean you'll write a book and it sells. It doesn't mean you'll, create a business that it'll be, a multi-million-dollar business. But living in your purpose is saying you want to do something and doing it. Saying, I want to do this. I feel compelled to do this and doing it.
Exactly.
And it's more so for you and not necessarily other people. I also think when you lose, a loved one, a lot of people talk about PTSD from war and from
yes.
and things like that, and traumatic experiences as a child or things like that. Not a lot of people talk about it from death of a loved one where you weren't even there, but that feeling. Do you think you've experienced a little bit of that or any of that at all?
Absolutely, especially when with my father, it was okay. I don't smoke, so but there are people who get lung cancer that don't smoke. I started thinking, oh my God, like I've been around people who smoke. I've been around my dad. Like, am I going to get secondhand smoke lung cancer? Like, what's going to happen to me? Then just thinking about like obsessing over like every little thing that could do with health. Like, okay, I got to make sure I eat this, and I got to make sure I do this, and I got to, so that I don't get sick. And and then with my brother, him getting in a car accident, I'm still every day I get in the car, I have to like give myself a pep talk, like, okay, we're gonna be okay. We're gonna pay. Like I'm very much more aware on the road than I was before, and I was already a cautious driver. Yeah, so now I'm even more cautious than I was, and yeah, like there are times where like I'm driving and I'm just like thinking about like what happened to him, and I'm just like, I have to like get out of my head.
Seriously, and that's it. Really getting out of your head. In reference to my brother, like he was going to work, and he did restoration work at SI Restoration. And he was going into a home to restore it or whatever the case is, and someone ran in and shot him while he was on the job and everything. And they haven't found out who did it. And I'm just thinking in my head, and I relive it in my head all the time.
As if you were there.
As if I were there.
Yeah, same thing.
As if I were there. And a part of me is just like, he didn't see it coming, but I'm reliving it in my head. And even still, like when I walk out in the morning, sometimes I go to the gym at 5:30 in the morning. It's still dark. When I walk out, I'm like, this could be it. Not to say I'm in any danger, but he didn't think he was in danger either.
Right.
He's just going to work or whatever. What if I'm just walking outside and someone's just there waiting for me? No one's out here, and it put into perspective. Like at any point in time, this can be it.
Right.
And then the even scarier part is that I bring my sister down here from. We want to get closer. We want to hang out more. Since then, value of family. She flies in. We're driving from the airport. On the way to the airport, we're rear-ended by a truck.
Oh my goodness.
Rear-ended by a truck. Totals my car. And again, thinking in my head, like, this could have been it too.
Right.
Like, literally, my mom just lost her son, and now she could lose her son and her daughter just like that.
Yeah.
Just like that, like quick. And, yeah. But I will say this, when it comes to God, because, again, I had read something where it was like, everything works for the greater good of the Lord and everything. And, trying not to lean on my own understanding and my own expectations as if my life is my own.
Right.
And a lot of times I notice when it comes to the Lord, He never gives stuff the way we expect it to come.
Right.
It doesn't work like that. And I haven't told many people this story, but it was homecoming. My brother came down, and I was going to take him to Greensboro, GHO, for their homecoming event. And, we went to the club out that night, and I was like, I wanted him to see the parade, so we're going to drive down immediately after the club. I had been drinking a little bit, and I was tired. And me and him were in the car. He was asleep in the passenger seat, and I fell asleep at the wheel. I fell asleep at the wheel on the highway, and I hit a curb, and then I woke up. And then from that point on, I was good. But in my head, I'm thinking, I just lost my brother in 2019. But realistically, 3 years ago, I could have lost my brother. So my perspective, I'm looking at it as if like, oh, my brother's going 2019. But honestly, it's not out of realm of possibility. God could have been like, well, really, I gave you an extra 3 years with him. And not only did I give you an extra 3 years with him, you could have lost him then at your own hand, which would have been way more difficult to deal with.
Absolutely.
So when I think about that, it doesn't make me feel better, but it just lets me know that, like, it's easy to trust God when, things aren't on your doorstep.
Right.
When it's happening to someone else. But when it's on your own doorstep, now I feel like that faith is put to the test. Everybody can be faithful when life is good.
Oh, yes, absolutely. It's so funny that you say that, too, because when I was just on church on Sunday, Pastor Chet talked about that. You know, you never know, how God is working in your life. You never know.
We swear we do.
We swear we know what's going on. And then he's like, nope.
Exactly.
You think you know, but you don't know.
you know, like, God, I asked for a tree. He didn't give you a seed. And you're like, that's
not what I asked
Exactly.
for. Exactly. And, it's funny because when that was one of the things that I immediately thought, like, when my dad passed away, it was like, I moved down here for him and he's gone. Like, God, why would you do that? But then again, like, I thought about, like, well, God pushed me, not knowing I got 2 years with my father. Like, if I wouldn't have moved and then he passed away, that would have been even more of a hurt piece because I'm in Philly and he's in Charlotte. He didn't pass away. I can't even see, like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't get that time, so I was, I am thankful to God that I got that time, that I got that time with my dad and my brother and were able to spend time with them, because it definitely was like a punch in the gut, because like me and my husband, we had just purchased our home in April of last year. And so I am like on a high because, we just got our house and I'm like, oh, we about to have all these cookouts and these parties because that's what our family do, and we get together and I'm just like, oh, this is going to be so awesome. I'm just thinking about my dad, like, being on the grill and like, I just have all these dreams
Cooking
and plans and, in my head, like of my family being around. And then when he passed away, it was like, it wasn't, when you lose people, you realize it's not just them that passes away. It's not them that just dies. It's all the plans and all the dreams. And that's what it is. And all those things, all those like plans I had in my head died too.
And that's really what it is. It's those expectations, those plans that you had.
Yeah.
I was listening to someone speak and they were like, the problem isn't death itself. Right. That you have a problem with, that hurts you the most. He's like, because people die every day and you go about your day, fine and you're happy. He's like, so it's not death itself. It's one, it was someone that you loved, a loved one. And two, it's your expectations that are really hurt. Your plans, your thoughts of how you thought life would be. Yeah. Those, your expectations, your plans, as well as that person that you love being in any type of pain or hurt or whatever the case is. He's like, that's what really hurts people. And I was like, to some degree, I agree. I get it. I get it. I think I see people pass all the time, and it's like, it's sad, but it doesn't hit the same. Right. Well, my loved one, I feel like not only did it hit it, but I instantly started thinking about how I thought my life would go. Like, sheesh, like my graduation is in a week.
Right, exactly, yeah. Yeah. Like holidays are coming up and you're just like, well, wait a minute. Just like that, like the day that my father went to the hospital, it was Father's Day. I literally was having a cookout. They were all supposed to be coming. And then that morning my mom was like, I got to take him to the hospital. And I'm like, immediately like, what? I'm like, I got all these people coming. Oh, we're supposed to be having a big cookout. It's Father's Day. I got all these plans. I didn't make this cake. Like, I just like, was so excited, because it's our first thing, at our house. So like, I was so excited for my dad to come over, and that never happened. He never got to see us growing into our home, and if it wasn't for my father, we wouldn't even have our house. Like, we moved down here and stayed with family, with my mom and dad, and he was just like, save your money. Don't worry about nothing. Save your money. Buy your house. That's what you came down here for. You came down here to buy your house. Buy your house. So he really supported us. And I just wanted him to see. I was so excited for him to see like what his support, brought us. And so like it really was a hurt piece, like it happening at that time. So you say that you had at one point you had stopped going to church. What made you stop, and what made you start going back? I stopped mostly just because honestly I was depressed. After my father passed, I was really depressed. I didn't feel like going anywhere. I didn't want to do anything. I just want to stay in the house and just be with my kids and my husband. I just didn't want to go anywhere. Like, I didn't want to do anything. And I also didn't want to, like when people pass away in your life, they're really close to you. For whatever reason, you think everybody knows. You think everybody's looking at you like, oh, poor little you,
it's
you
like,
know, whatever.
That sympathy
that you don't really want. So, or that not so much you don't want, but you just don't want it a lot. You
appreciate it,
right.
But it's like you don't understand. This hole is in my chest. I get it.
I can't I don't even want to walk around.
Yeah,
so it's just like I didn't, and then I was just mad. At God. I would go to church. I tried to go back. I went back to church one time, and one of the songs that the worship team was singing, it hit home. And it hit home so much that I just got mad. And I was just like, well, but my brother and my dad aren't here. You know what I mean? So when my dad passed away, I stopped going to church. And it was for a few months, about 2 to 3 months, I didn't really go to church. And sometimes I would still watch it online. I go to Elevation Church. Woo woo.
Shout out to Elevation. Pastor Stephen Furtick.
Yes. And so I would still sometimes watch it online just because I needed it. And eventually that's what kind of happened. It got to a point where it was like, I can't do this by myself. And I realized everyone around me, nobody can help me through this. I have to help myself. There are people that can give me support and they can try their best to help me, but at the end of the day, I have to help myself. And I felt like I got to a point where I was like, well, I feel like only God can help me, And so then I started going back to church more. Then I said, I need to just, because I wasn't doing anything. I was just working. I wasn't doing anything. So it got to a point where I was like, okay, I need to join some groups. So I joined an e-group I joined a couple of e-groups at the church at Elevation. I joined a mom's group, and then I joined an entrepreneur group. And I was like, I just need to get involved. I need to do something, because just sitting around in my sadness
and thoughts
and everything, it just wasn't helping me. And I mean, it's okay, to be sad too. It's okay to sometimes sit in your sadness, because sometimes that's all you can do.
Right. It is right. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to cry. Again, I still get moments where I'm driving home, and I'll get teary eyed.
Yeah.
But it's funny. The easiest way for me to cope is to go through it, because after I don't feel like I want to cry anymore.
Yeah,
it's like after I cry, it's okay, I feel like I can keep going.
Keep going, absolutely. I mean, there have been times where I've been at night and just full on crying sessions. I'll just go in the closet and just let it rip and just let it all out, and then I feel so much better afterwards, And so but going to church really helped me deal. Listen to the word. Being around people who were supportive and who could, also understand, where you're coming from. Just putting myself in a space where I had some support. And then even getting back to work and being around people that could understand, So, through it all, I mean, God's been there. Through it all, my faith definitely has strengthened, even though with everything that's happened. Which, I think, and it's just funny how God works, because going through all of that, not that I wanted to, not that I sometimes think dang, do I have to go through all of this to receive? Because sometimes, you go through situations and then there's a blessing at the end of it, and you don't realize it, but it's like, dang, but did I have to go through that to get that blessing? Did I have to go through that? But
I mean, sometimes, again, I've noticed that, and I've heard Stephen Furtick say that sometimes those blessings come wrapped as pain,
Absolutely.
And for you to fulfill a greater purpose, you have to go through that pain.
Right.
And it's kind of I mean, I know,
right,
but you got to have that much faith in me,
right.
Come on,
right, exactly, do I really, God, we got to do that? But yeah, definitely joining an entrepreneur group, really me putting myself out there and, our leader of the group, Joan T. Randall. She is awesome. She has definitely been a great mentor and definitely pulling some things out of us to help us write this book. And again, Kingdom Builders in Business. And it's definitely been a journey. Really helped me to figure out what I think God is calling me to do. At the beginning of the year, I had told myself that I would be more available and that I would just let God guide me. Mm-hmm. You know, like, where do you want me to be?
Take the wheel.
Take the wheel. Jesus, take the wheel and do whatever it is that you want me to do. Because it got to a point where I don't know what I want to do anymore. Mm-hmm. You know, and I just I know what I want to do, but I'm not sure. You know, having that, again, that insecurity and not having that faith in myself. And I had to just I guess go through these things and realize well, God still has some faith in me, and you know, He's pushing me to my purpose. And with all of that, there's some pain involved, and you know, but there's been some highs too. I've gotten closer with my family. You know, definitely.
Death does bring people closer together.
Some far apart.
Yeah, some far apart. Some far apart.
You lose some and you gain some. Yeah. You know, with all of that, but. Yes, definitely has been a journey with everything, but I'm happy and I'm really excited about this project. I'm just so happy and proud of my co-authors, and I just can't wait for us to be able to share our testimonies and what we've been through, and just know that even with all that you go through, that you can come out of it.
Okay, so and last but not least, what would you say to anybody who is going through that process of stage 4 cancer with one of their loved ones, or someone who just recently unexpectedly lost a loved one who's recently had someone who's passed? Mm-hmm. What would you say to them?
I would just say take one day at a time. Mm-hmm. One day at a time, and don't be afraid to reach out to people. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to do whatever it is that you need to do to help yourself through it. Of course, nothing that is harmful to yourself or anything like that. But, and honestly, if you're religious or if you're not religious, turn to God. Mm-hmm. Because when you can't turn to anybody else, you can always turn to Him.
That is very true.
Because there are going to be moments and times where people in your life you think that are going to be there for you aren't. Mm-hmm. And you think that they're going to be, supportive, and they're not. Mm-hmm. And you have to be able, in that space, be able to turn to God and just rely on Him and just pray.
And also have the understanding that a lot of times people will give you what you want, but God will give you what you need.
Absolutely.
And there's a difference. And sometimes what you need doesn't always taste the best. It doesn't always feel the best.
Yep.
But that He knows,
true. And He knows who's going to really be there for you and who's not. Mm-hmm. Sometimes God will remove people.
Yeah.
Sometimes God will remove toxic people from your life. You think that those people you need those people in your life and they have to be there. But sometimes those are the ones that may just take you, further down that wrong road, So,
I heard a line the other day. I don't know what rap song I was listening to, but the guy said something might have been Drake or something, where he's like, it's sad, or sometimes it's sad that you have to wait until it's dark to see who's really with you. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was interesting, because it's that's true. A lot of times you need those dark times to actually see who's really there, with you and has your back.
Yes, absolutely. I know when when my dad and my brother passed, I definitely took a look around.
Yeah.
Me, because I have always been, try my best to be there for people as much as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. If you're in my life, I'm gonna be there for. If you ask, if I can do something for you, if you ask me to do something and I'm able to do it, I'll do it. You know what I mean? That's just the type of person I am. And so, but with that, I am learning nobody's me but me.
That's very true.
And that I can't expect people to always treat me the way that I treat them. That's because true. I'm me, and they are them.
That's very true.
And so, I know that, you know, especially when my father passed away, there were some people that I was like, wow, like I have been there for so many people. And then during this time, like I don't get a phone call. No one's checking on me. Like I was in my feelings, you know, I really got in my feelings.
On top of already having other feelings.
Already having right, all those other feelings. I'm like in my feelings, like really, like is this what's, because when you're going through grief, you know, when you're in the thick of it, you're not thinking to reach out to people. You know what I mean? You're not, especially when it first happens, you're not thinking about calling people and asking people or wanting to talk to people. Like you're not, so, you know, you kind of do in a way expect people to like check on you.
Gotcha.
You know, to call you, or you want people, you know, to.
It feels good.
You know, it feels good that like people are asking how you're doing. So when there are certain people in your life that you thought would and they aren't, it's kind of like, well, dang, if this happened to you, I would be there for you, you know? And so I hear a lot of people saying that, you know, when a loved one passed, that they didn't have the support they thought that they would. And that's when you have to turn to God, because you can't.
And maybe that's, you know, maybe that's God's place. Maybe that's what he wants you to do too. Because I've noticed a lot of times with people, sometimes it's hard for people to give what they don't have. As well as people who have experienced it before, it's hard for them to give you support when they still going through it on their own. And,
exactly.
But that again, if that is the case, that's the perfect alignment for you to, you know, not look out and look up.
Absolutely.
I'm like, look, I know you there.
Yes.
I know you here with me, not when things are good, but when things are low too. And again, just give me what I need.
Yes, and you know what? It also helps you too not to develop animosity towards people in your life. I think when you look to God, because a lot of times you have these expectations of people that they can't fill. And so when you look to God to depend on, then, you know, like I know for myself, I've forgiven all those people who I thought like would be there and weren't. You know, I have forgiven them, because like, how can I be upset or mad at people that just maybe didn't even know what to do? Sometimes people don't know what to say.
That's very true.
They don't know what to say. They don't want to say the wrong thing. You know what I mean? So it's just like, okay, so just like show them some grace.
Yeah.
Show them some grace.
Me comforting people now opposed to before I lost my brother, it's completely different.
Because you've gone through it.
I get it.
You get it now.
I get
so
it.
you can like be more supportive because you understand. But sometimes people don't understand. Everybody hasn't lost a loved one, a close loved one, you know. So they don't know really what to say or to do. And a lot of times people just don't want to say the wrong thing. They don't want to make you hurt more. So just what they end up doing is giving you silence because they don't know what to say.
True.
You know. So, and I think that is why I also going through this pushed me to write, because it was like, okay, people don't know what to say.
Right. And I think if you're one of those people who are constantly watering other people's trees and other people's plants, you know, what you'll find is that, you know, a lot of people need watering. Very few people are able to go and pour into someone else. A lot of people need to be poured into. Yes. And if you're that person in your friend group that's constantly pouring in other people, uplifting their spirits, you know, what you'll find is that, you know, maybe they don't know what to say, but it's just like, I'm trying to pour and I don't got nothing. I believe I don't have nothing to pour into you because you always pouring into me.
That's true. That's true.
Because I think I find myself, I'm constantly motivating my friends or, you know, being an optimist. Right. But when I was down, it was just like, I mean, we're not used to this.
Right. Yeah. That is true. That makes a lot of sense. That is true. Yeah. Because I definitely am in my group of friends and family and stuff. I'm probably more like, you can do it.
That is me. Like, let's get it.
You got it. Let's go. Yeah. So, and, you know, always trying to like uplift my friends and stuff like that. And so like, yeah, I guess it's like when I'm down and out, they're like, what is happening here? Yeah. Like, I don't even know what to do with this, because you're the one that's always like, you know, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be fine. You know, and then when you get to a point where you're like, no, I'm not fine.
Yeah, for real.
I'm not fine at all.
For real. And I've been there. I'm not okay.
Yeah, and it's okay.
And so everybody listening, okay. It's okay to not be okay.
Yes,
it's okay to hurt. It's okay to cry. It is whether you're a man or a woman. It is okay.
Yes.
I mean, you heard it here. Like, it's okay.
It's okay. It definitely is. It is okay. And again, just like having faith. I think is really just has been moving me through it all. Just having faith that like God has some bigger plan that I don't know what it is, and I just have to wait for him to show me.
All right, I agree. Well, again, I appreciate you coming on to the Speak Your Peace podcast.
Thank you.
Again, you want to give another shout out to the book that'll be coming out 2020?
Yes, 2020, February 2020, via Elevation Church members on University campus. Our 12 authors, including myself, Kingdom Builders in Business. And we're so excited that it is coming to fruition, and you know everybody worked hard, and so now we're here at the finish line.
Yes, all right. We appreciate y'all for listening in. Again, this was Ebonee. This is your host, Kaleem Slayton. And again, come see us and come listen again on the Speak Your Peace podcast, where everybody has a platform to speak their truth.